everyone. So Ben Shapiro is a conservative right-wing commentator, and he has this little bit of a habit of saying ridiculous things that aren't based in reality. And here's one of those things. He's going to give us his reasoning for why Medicare for all works in a place like Denmark, but why it wouldn't work in the United States. So let's take a look, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
When people look at quote unquote nationalized healthcare systems that work, or socialized healthcare systems that work, they are looking at countries that have populations of 6 million people, right? Populations that are smaller than Los Angeles County, the county where I live. And you see this all the time. You see them taking models from Norway or Denmark that have tiny populations and then suggesting that we can just wholesale apply them in the United States and everything will work out the same. Now, there are differences in culture, there are differences in land mass, there are differences in size, there are differences in policing strategy. If you want to do an apples to apples comparison, what you would really have to say is that if you took the healthcare system of Denmark and you applied it to Danish Americans, it might have a similar effect. That I could see. But if you apply it to the broad spectrum of American humanity, that spectrum is pretty large and pretty differential, and it doesn't seem that that's going to apply in quite the same way.
Do you guys think that while he was making that argument, he knew he was being ridiculous? Like, do you think that he knew that, like, what he was saying just made absolutely no sense? So let's go over it really fast. He goes over three things there. He says culture, land mass, and policing strategy. So those are the three reasons he gives for why Medicare for all wouldn't work here. So culture, I'm assuming he's referring to the fact that Denmark is more homogenous in terms of race than the United States. So because of that, they can provide their citizens health care and we can't. I'm not really sure why that would stop us from having healthcare. Maybe that's not. Maybe I'm being bad faith. Maybe what he was trying to say was that they have more of a collectivist mindset than we do. So they have a kind of we're all in this together mentality, and we're a little bit more individualist. So maybe we just it wouldn't work here, even though we do have universal programs like public schools, public funded libraries, things like that. So even though we do have those things, maybe for some reason he just can't apply that logic to healthcare. But what's the other thing? He said land mass. He talks about land mass, and he's right. Denmark is smaller than the United States. They are smaller in terms of land mass and population. I mean, it's not like there's a country that's like right above us that also has a single payer healthcare system. And they're pretty similar in land mass. There's Canada. Canada is right above us, and they have a single payer system. It's not perfect. I'm not going to say that Canada's system is perfect. It's better than ours, though. And people will talk about Canada. People will talk about like wait times and things like that. And here's the thing with Canada. They'll say that they have to ration their care in Canada. And what that kind of does is that ignores the fact that we also ration care here in the U.S. We just ration it a little differently. So in Canada, they ration it based on need. If you need a surgery right then and there, they'll get you in. But if you have something that's a little less urgent, you might have to wait a little bit. Here in the U.S., we ration it by how much money you have. If you have a lot of money, you can get whatever you want whenever you want it. But if you don't have very much money, then you're kind of in a tougher position. You might not be able to get everything you need. And so we do ration care here. So don't ever let someone say that, in single payer systems, they ration their care. We ration our care. We have, and people suffer because of it. 49,000 Americans die every year due to lack of health care. So don't let anyone tell you that we don't ration care here in the U.S. We just ration it based on the size of your wallet. And then the third thing he says is like policing strategies. Like, I'm not even going to pretend to try and understand what he meant by that. Like, what was he trying to... I don't know. I really don't know what he meant by that. Because they police different in Denmark, then we can't do Medicare for all. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, do you guys think he knew that he was just being ridiculous while he was making that statement? Because that's a ridiculous statement. What does policing have to do with the healthcare system? If anything, Denmark, their policing strategy, if I'm being fair to him, in Denmark, you are a lot less likely, particularly if you are a black person, to be shot by the police. So maybe that's what he was referring to, because in the United States, police officers are a little more violent. So maybe that's what he was referring to, and it's a burden on our healthcare system, the fact that our police brutality is so high. Maybe that's what he was talking about. Ben Shapiro coming out strong against police brutality, and then he makes a little statement at the end there about how, you know, Danish healthcare would work for Danish Americans maybe, but I just don't see that working for the broad spectrum of people here. Like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, it's just like, it's based on this idea that, like, oh, because, like, you're from Denmark, it's healthcare. It's healthcare, surgery, you know, operations, checkups, these things like apply to you no matter where you're from. Like, healthcare is a pretty universal thing. Everyone around the world needs it. So I don't really understand what he's referring to when he says it would only work for Danish Americans. But and another thing, you know, he's kind of talking a little bit about, like, oh, it's to be fair, I get kind of what the argument he's trying to make is it would be hard to scale a system like Denmark to something the size of the United States. And, like, I guess that's kind of an argument, but there's a concept, it's known as economies of scale. And what that actually is the concept that as things get bigger, as you start doing things on a bigger scale, you actually become more efficient at doing them. You know, because you can cut down on, like, certain administrative things, because, you know, you can do things in bulk and things like that. That usually is applied to businesses, but I don't see why that wouldn't apply to here in the United States. There's so much fat currently in our healthcare system. There's so much administrative fat that could be cut away with a single payer system. So anyway, that's just a little taste of some of the pretty silly arguments you'll hear against Medicare for all. But anyway, if you disagreed with anything I said in this video, please leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, you know, please like and subscribe, and, you know, have a great day.